My name is Morna Gerard, and I am interviewing Tracy, is it Cermak?
Cermak.
For Georgia State University's Women's March Oral History Project. The date is March 28th, 2017, and the interview is taking place in Special Collections at the Georgia State University Library. So Tracy, let's start with a simple question.
Okay.
Where were you born and what year were you born?
Okay, I was born in 1981 here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Which hospital?
What was Crawford Long, but is now Emory Midtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you stay in Atlanta?
So right now I live in Decatur, over near Emory University.
Okay.
So my house there.
Did your family always live in that area?
I grew up in what's now Brookhaven,
Okay.
but was not a very nice area at the time. And my mom lives in Johns Creek, and my dad is actually not from this country, and he moved back to where he came from, the Czech Republic. So he lives there.
When did he move back?
Probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your profession?
I work as a IRB compliance analyst.
Can you explain what IRB is?
Yeah, so when anybody's doing a research study that involves human subjects, it has to go through a review process. And we check a lot of things, ethics reviews, making sure you meet federal regulations, making sure you meet your grant requirements, and institutional and state requirements. So we're just one step of the process of getting people started with their research.
And you get lots of oral histories come through you, right?
We do, we get a few, yes.
Can you describe your family's political leanings?
Sure. So my mother is very Republican. I only assume this because every time I go over there, Fox News is on. We don't really talk about politics too much. I always thought my dad was Democratic, or was a Democrat, and it turns out he still holds residency in the United States, and he came back and voted for Trump, which I had some words with him about. But he's very open to discussing this. He's like, I can't change my vote now. I was like, and I have a brother who is non-political, so he didn't.
And what political party do you support?
I'm very Democratic, or I vote Democrat. My husband also votes Democratic Party, and that might be because I make him, but it works.
Have you ever been involved in political activities in the past?
I have been involved in women's activities, and I think they can be a little political. I think the last big march I went to before the March on Washington was in 2004 in DC, and I think it was the March for Women's Choice. So, and just being involved in sort of feminist activities going on in Atlanta, but nothing as big as those big marches.
What other feminist activities do you get involved in?
I worked for an abortion clinic for a while, so I was really involved, and it was a feminist clinic, and we had I would just do things like envelope stuffing, and I wasn't a go out in the community type of person, but whatever sort of their agenda was, I was on board with generally.
What clinic was it?
The Feminist Women's Health Center. Yeah.
I'm a clinic escort.
Oh, are you? Luckily, they weren't needed so much back when I was working.
Yeah.
They're out there?
Yeah. It's an amazing clinic as well.
Yeah, I like it. I love everybody that worked there. It was a good experience, but I have to always remember that it's tough for the women that were there. You can't become too relaxed in what you do there, but we're doing good things and we're helping people.
Good. So even though you have family members who are, they kind of have different political views, have they been involved in any political activities?
No, my family, no activities at all.
So you had participated in the march in Washington in the 2000s. Can you talk about how that felt to you?
Sure. So that march, I was young, I guess I was 23 maybe, and I was working at the Feminists Women's Health Center, and they, of course, I don't even know if the internet was big back then, so I'm not sure how it got organized, but we had, the buses, and I ended up catching a ride up there with my supervisor at the clinic. It was sort of chaotic for some reason. I don't remember what happened, but there were buses missed, and all my friends missed the bus somehow. I don't remember what happened. And the march was, it was fine, I guess. It wasn't too memorable. I remember hearing Hillary Clinton speak. I remember being on the mall. It wasn't, I think I was too young to really understand what was happening. But I do remember Hillary Clinton speaking, and I thought it was really cool because then she spoke at Agnes Scott's graduation where I had friends graduating from, so I was like, oh, I get to see her like twice in a very small amount of time. But unfortunately that just, I was there, but I don't remember too much.
And that was the last big march you were on? Have you done any other marches?
Besides the March on Washington, no.
So why did you want to march this January 21st?
I think for this, I don't want to say the same reasons. I don't know why everybody else wanted to march. I guess being a woman and being in a working world and sort of always just having, finding out your male colleagues make more money, having to sort of hide that you're married and young so that when you go look for a job, people aren't thinking, oh no, she's just gonna have a kid and leave. All these things sort of add up, and it's a very frustrating experience. So what can I do? I put in my vote, it didn't work. And with the election of Donald Trump as president, it's not okay with me, and none of this is okay. I didn't know what to do. I was a member of that Pantsuit Nation on Facebook. I see what's being organized, and as soon as I heard about it, I went online and I bought a plane ticket, and I told my husband, I was like, I'm going, and he was like, see if one of your friends will go with you, and I was like, okay, and I did get one friend to go with me, not who I expected, but I just felt I needed to be there to do something.
So when did you buy your plane ticket?
Oh boy, it must have been it was probably just very soon after the election, like maybe right after they started talking about it, so probably in November.
Okay. Which airline did you go?
Southwest. They're the cheapest.
Is it like how much was your ticket?
Oh, it was $160.
That's about the same thing.
Yeah, it was cheap.
So when did you fly up?
We flew up. I'm very active in running as well, so I don't like to miss my running days. So we flew up that morning of the march, which was the 21st, Saturday, and we flew back that evening.
Can you describe the mood on the plane going up?
So I don't know if you experienced this as well, but the days leading up to the march, I was looking online, and on Facebook in particular, and people were posting, everybody on my plane is going to the march, and everybody had their pink hats on and their little signs, and the whole plane was full of women, and I was really upset. I was like, I'm missing that. That's, I should have gone earlier. I'm really upset to miss it. So when we got to the airport, I was like, wait, there's a lot of women here. This whole flight, and then sort of looking around at the waiting area, and we had our signs, and I was like, I think we're gonna have the same thing. So we got on the plane, and there was maybe 10% male, probably 10% total people that maybe didn't know what was going on. I don't know if you experienced this on your flight too, but it was really cool. I was like, this is unbelievable. And being from Atlanta, it wasn't just white women. We had a lot of black women. Actually, probably that was it. I don't know if I saw any other sort of minorities, but I was like, this is so cool. It was so cool.
Did you talk to any of the women on the plane?
We did. I talked to some of the women around me, and they were a black family from Atlanta, and it was the mom and it was aunts and mom and sisters and cousins, and they were all just really excited to be going up. So that was cool.
So when you got off the plane, which airport did you fly to?
DCA, so
Okay.
national.
What time did you arrive?
We arrived at 10:30.
Wow.
So our flight left at like 9, and I just moved back from DC, so I'm familiar with flying back and forth a lot. And I was upset because I was like, oh no, the march is gonna start, because it started at 10. I think we're gonna be late. But okay, I know how Metro runs. It might be running a little late, so then I looked at the thing. It says, oh, the march doesn't actually start till noon or 1. So I was like, cool, we'll get there in time. We'll go to Starbucks. We'll, have a little breakfast. We'll listen to the people talking, and it'll be fine. And of course, you know what it was like that day. So
can you describe just your journey from the airport to the actual rally area?
So I made my. I know how far the Southwest Gate is from Metro, so I made my friend. I'm very assertive, aggressive. I was like, you better be there to check in early on Southwest, because otherwise you get in the back. We need to be at the front of the plane, and as soon as they open those doors, get your stuff, which we had nothing, and we had a bolt. Like, we have to go quickly. So I didn't want to be late. So we're just on like the third row of the airplane. We get off, and I'm like, come on, let's go. No bathroom. Let's go. And then I know where there's a good bathroom that's never crowded. So we went and we left. And I had Metro cards already from living up there. So I gave her one. They were already loaded. We go, and I was like, okay, we can take the yellow line. We can take the blue line. It doesn't matter. And the trains were not coming. I was like, that's weird. They should be here like every 10 minutes, every 6 minutes. And so a train pulls up. It is completely packed. And I was like, we can get on. We can get on. We'll just have to. And we get on, and it was still okay. We were standing in the aisle. It was fine. And it sits for a long time, and the person on the overhead thing is like, there's a lot of delays today. It's very crowded. This is going to take a while. What did it take? Like an hour and a half to go from from Airport National to I think we went to LaFont Plaza. And then we ended up getting off early because there was just nowhere to go. And I was telling my husband this. He's used to riding Metro too. He's like, oh, I know what it's like to be crowded on Metro. It's like, you have no idea. I was like, the people were sitting on top of the seats so that there could be somebody sitting in the seat. And then between the seats where there's no room, that's where we're standing like this, because the thing curves over. You're not going anywhere, and it's hot. And you're making friends with everybody around you. It was really cool. We were with we spent so much time with them. A group of women who came from Iowa, and they were learning to be meat slaughterers, how to slaughter animals for meat. And my friend and I are like vegetarian and have just been forever. I don't care what other people eat or do, but I was like, this is very fascinating. Tell me more. Like, what an interesting career choice. How did you get into it? So we've talked to them. There's a few other women that ran a shelter for women from like Kansas. So it was really interesting. So that was part of the experience too. We all had our little posters, and it was just, and every time the thing would stop, the train would stop, and you'd see more people waiting to get on, and be like, there's no room, and there would just be more room. You just sort of got really close, so everybody could get on.
You mentioned that you had a poster. What did yours say?
So I had a list of people who couldn't come. So it was, everybody that wanted their name there. Yeah, so it was cute. And then our other poster said Atlanta loves, and then we had the feminist sign or the woman sign, just sort of representing Atlanta there.
So you brought them all the way from Atlanta?
Yeah.
On the plane?
Yeah. And so did everybody else. That was our only carry-on.
What did you wear?
It was a little cold that day, so my friend and I are both runners, and we were like, let's just wear our comfortable running tights and like a running warm zip-up thing, and then a coat because it got a little chilly. Luckily, it didn't rain on us.
Did you have a hat?
I did not have a hat. My friend, she did not. She had just a regular pink hat, but I wanted one after everybody. Our chair, even at the IRB, she was knitting them, and she said, "I wish you would have told me I would knit you one." And I was like, "It's okay."
What did you think of the hats?
I had a better time looking at my Facebook page of my sort of more conservative Facebook friends who were like, "Why is everybody wearing a vagina on their head?" And I was like, "Are there vagina hats?" And then I was really contemplating this. I was like, I didn't see one vagina hat. And then I was like, oh. It took me a while to put it together. I was like, I didn't see that. I was like, that would be very funny though. I'd like to see that. So the pussycat. So I thought that was a cute way to sort of unite people, and why not? It's like a team, and that's your little uniform, and I thought it was cute.
And pink is a cheerful color.
Pink is a cheerful color. I mean, it makes sense. But.
So when you got you got off the train.
Well, we got off early, so I knew we needed to go to L'Enfant Plaza. We ended up getting off one stop early because it was just so crowded and the trains weren't moving and it was just taking so long. I was like, let's just get off. I know where we are. I can get us to where the stage is. Again, laughable. So we get off. They won't let anybody use the escalators. So we're walking up all the stairs out of the thing. And we get out and it's just completely people everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Kim, I don't know. This is very discombobulating. I have no idea where we are. I tried to get out my phone to use the map. Completely useless. The data wasn't working. And I was like, okay, well, let's get over there. Let's go past those bathrooms and see what's happening, because I think that's the parade route or where the walk will happen. And we ended up finding a spot in the street that we stood in for 3 hours. I mean, we could not hear the program that was going on, except for sometimes maybe when the wind was right. So we really just stood there. We went and stood in DC, and it was interesting. We talked to the people around us and waited until it was time to go.
So you didn't march?
There was nowhere to go. So as you know, maybe around 1:30, 2 o'clock, people were getting sort of irritated, and not irritated, maybe anxious. And they started chanting like, march, march, march. And this would happen. And we even turned around at one point because we thought we were supposed to march that way, thinking maybe we'd start moving. And finally, they had some people that looked official, they had vests on, that said, listen, she was coming around to talk to sort of people and spread the word that we can't march. There's nowhere to go. The route is completely full. The backup route is completely full. And there's nowhere for us to go. So we're working on it, but there's nowhere to go. And I was like, wow, that's really impactful. There's just nowhere to march to. We can't march.
The best reason for there not to be
right
a way to get to the march.
Right, yeah. So eventually I was like, well, I'm hungry. We've been standing here for hours. I was like, let's just make our way. And I was afraid with Metro. I was like, we have a flight to catch. Let's make our way back towards the metro station. And we did, and it opened up a little bit, the crowds. So we walked towards the monument, just sort of people watching, and there was actually some ability to move there, although I'm sure this was not part of the route or anything. And just sort of look at people's signs, and then made our way back to the metro station, and a lot of other women doing the same things that we were, trying to figure out how to get back and whether the trains would move and all that.
And was that easier to get back to the
It was
airport?
hard to get into the station. That probably took about 45 minutes because you can only let so many people in at a time. But once we couldn't see the station, so we were just waiting in this crowd hoping, you know how crowded it was. And she has children. We had to get back because she had a babysitter. So I didn't want to miss our flight. So we did make it back and had some nice conversations with a few people on the way back to the airport as well.
How cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you were standing there looking around, what signs were you, like, did you think were cool?
So I really liked a lot of the hand-drawn signs, and I'll give you these photos. My friend took all the photos of the signs, and the one that actually stands out to me, though, not that I'm anti-religion, but I'm not religious myself, is one of those people had one of the big signs on a wooden stick that you're not allowed to have. This is the only one I saw on a wooden stick, and maybe about something, Jesus hates everybody, I don't understand. And he was walking around sort of angry with it. And there was a gentleman with a pink sign, and it said, I know Jesus loves me, but I still make him wear a condom. And he was following the big Jesus stick guy around wherever he went. And it was so funny, and that was sort of the best time I had.
Did you take a picture?
Oh yeah, I have that too. Yeah, it's really good.
Was that the only counter-protester that you saw?
Yeah, and I was really surprised. I felt very safe up there. I was really worried. I'm okay if something happens to me. I don't care. I don't have children. I don't worry about it. But my friend has little children, and I was like, I just don't want anything bad to happen. I was legitimately afraid of terrorism in big groups, but not enough to stop me. I don't, whatever, and just anything sort of happening to her.
So were you taking the maternal role almost when you were at the rally?
No, this was just a pre-worry. I was like, of all my friends, the one with children wants to go with me. I was like, it's okay. So
did you have a plan for keeping together?
Yes.
So what was your plan?
I tied our, we had something with straps, maybe a little bag. I tied our little straps together on our bags so that we literally could not get away from each other.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then we had I always have a lot of backup plans. It's crazy, but it would be helpful in a panic situation. So if we get separated, go stand by that sign until this time, and then if we still don't see each other at that time, go back to the airport and meet in front of the check-in desk at this time. If you're still not there, get on the plane and call our husbands and tell them something happened. So I always have a lot of backup plans, and people seem to be okay with that.
That's great. Well, I like the tying each other together. I mean, that's hard to separate.
We weren't going to leave each other, hopefully.
Were there any other signs that you liked?
There was just, none of them that I can remember. I wish I would have jogged my memory before we came, but I loved the hand-drawn signs. I'm not big onto making fun of people because of their looks, but I did like the caricatures of Donald Trump that people were drawing and had. I thought those were really fun. The official poster, the women, I went back and ordered one and had that framed for myself.
They're beautiful.
Right. And then I found there's a website where artists had done some signs for the march, and they were giving them out for free. And I was like, oh, those are so nice, they're beautiful. So I found them online, and Georgia State will actually print them. Very nice quality for really cheap. So,
Did not know that.
Yeah, so you just sort of send them the file, and it's like $5 or $6 for a nice poster.
That's great.
So I'll have one of those done too.
What about the chants?
We didn't really have many going on where we were. This is what democracy looks like. I remember that one, and then people wanting to move and march. And I feel like watching the videos of what was happening in Atlanta, that was another really thing. At the airport, when we were waiting for the plane, we were sitting and having a meal, and they had CNN on, and they were showing the marchers just from around the country and everything that was going on. And it was, because we were away from reality for so long, to see it was just unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you emotional at all throughout the day?
I told my friend before, I was like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna be all sad and sappy. This stuff like really moves me, and nothing the whole time. She's like, I didn't even get a tear out of you. I was like, I know. I think just being in the moment and just sort of, there was a lot of people, but the people around us were the only ones we knew about, so we were able to talk to them, and everybody's story was just sort of normal, and I'm upset, and this is not okay, and it was really interesting. So I didn't have a chance. I think I'm moved by the bigger picture things.
And at that point, you didn't really know what was going
No
on
idea.
elsewhere.
No idea.
What about like the general mood of the crowd?
I think everybody that was around me that I spoke to was just like me, mind blown that there was so many people there. I thought it was gonna be like the march in 2004, where I'd go stand on the mall and there'd be a big video screen, and I would listen to the thing, and we'd do a little walk around. Like I said, I thought we would get coffee somewhere. I don't even know. There was like, we were hungry, and people would just give you food if they had brought it. There was a pregnant woman, very pregnant, and everybody was doing anything they could to sort of help her out, let her sit, give her food, water, get her wherever she wanted to go. I don't even know what your question was. I just started
The mood of the people.
The mood. Yeah, just inclusive. I wish I could think of a word for it. A sense of sort of togetherness, and this is not okay. Like, what can we do? This is the only thing we can think to do right now.
You said earlier that you felt pretty safe. Did you have any interactions with police officers? And
Yeah.
How did that all feel?
So I'm sort of, my husband's father was a retired police officer, or is a retired police officer. So my dealings with him aren't that much, but I really like him. They were there, and they were typically standing on top of their cars. And the only interactions I saw were very like, thank you, we appreciate you being out here, and saying. Interesting, at the airport, the TSA people were all women, and each sort of step, they were like, were you here for the march? And I was like, yeah. They're like, I really wanted to be there. I was like, oh my God. It was really cool. So they're not like police officers exactly, but perhaps some sort of enforcement. But the police officers on the street, which I don't know if you've gone to see, nobody in DC is nice. Everybody's such a jerk there. But the whole thing was just so different. Everybody was being kind to the police officers. It was nice.
When now you said when you saw like some African Americans when you were on the plane, did you see other people not like yourself in the crowds when you were looking around?
It's funny. I was looking through my pictures. Not a ton. It was a lot of like just white people. I mean, mostly women, but some men, and probably 7% would be pushing it, like non-white people. which I was like, yeah, I've always sort of thought about that. And I knew there was, I don't know, I don't know how to deal with that one. It's hard.
I think we have a ways to go.
Yeah, we do.
For sure.
And also learning about sort of your own racism within, that's really been a big part of this for me too. Because even on that Pantsuit Nation, there's a lot of argument going on and things that I didn't think about and things that I need to know about and others need to know about. So I think it's been a real learning opportunity, sort of not only from a feminist perspective, but a race perspective and
class as well.
Class, yeah. It's all been really sort of interesting and brought out a lot of dialogue. So I'm thankful that that's happened.
If you compare what your expectations were and what the reality was, what major like differences in the sort of like from before to like now thinking about it?
Was just the march?
Yeah.
I expected to. I did not expect that many people to be there. I didn't expect the crowd size, just the feeling I got being there. It was very. It's hard to describe feelings, but it was just moving, and it was massive, and it was. So many people there for the same reasons or similar reasons, and to be part of that group of people was very unlike anything I could have ever thought I would feel before. Mm-hmm. And it's even hard to describe it. It was just so awesome, used in like just so big and incredible. Yeah.
It's interesting, most people I've talked to say that they've been changed by just that experience.
Yeah. I wonder if it's changed. I feel like it was, I don't know. I wish my husband would have gone. I don't think he would, it was like the couple days before, he's like, I'll come, I'll go with you. And I want to be like, I want to see what's going on. And because I explained to him, this is why people are upset. He doesn't get it. And maybe this is why I'm upset, not everybody. And he's like, oh, I never thought about it like that. I was like, because you've never had to think about it. And I was like, so he tried to come up. If he was there, I think he probably would have been changed to see how many people care.
That's a really good point. Was he very interested to hear about your experience once you got back?
Yeah, he was. But again, it's hard to express even here. It was so cool, and I think that's how I described it. Like, it's just unbelievable and so very cool.
Now you said earlier, I think like most of us, you weren't able to hear. Yeah. The people who were like speaking.
Yeah.
But at some point, did you get a chance, like maybe afterwards, did you get a chance to sort of see some of the presenters on TV or whatever?
Yeah, I went to YouTube.
Oh, good. So which one stood out as being like super cool to you?
I really went back and looked at the sort of the more controversial ones, and I think somebody did like a rap. Did somebody do like? Was a Judd there?
Yeah, Ashley Judd did kind of like Judd. It was kind of like a poem type rap type thing about periods. Yeah. About women's periods.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching that and thinking, okay, so, and these were controversial along racial lines, and I really wanted to sort of explore that and be like, what am I missing, and how am I thinking wrong about these things, or not wrong, but how can my thinking be made better about these things. And I watched some performers. And I also heard the little girl. Was she like 5 or 8 or something?
Yeah, she was amazing. So confident.
I just for a little girl to Oh my God. And I could hear her. We could hear her. Of the few things we could hear. And I did go back and look at that. And I made my husband look at it too. And I was like, this is our, where do they even find her? It was really cool. And I think I watched some performers.
Okay.
I don't remember. Yeah.
And generally, did you see the march reported on any TV stations when you got back?
When I did, now I don't know if it was on TV or if it was on YouTube or on Facebook. I was more interested in what happened in Atlanta because I was like, I could have stayed. But I guess I saw John Lewis came out, and I was looking for Jane Fonda's involvement because I know she's really into these causes, but I don't remember if I saw if she had any involvement here. Do you remember?
I don't know.
Yeah, so that was sort of what I was looking at, and then of course on Facebook every post from everywhere, and the pictures from DC, and the coverage on CNN that we were watching at the airport was just so many people.
Yeah. So you said that your husband was supportive.
Yeah.
What about the rest of your family?
I never told them. I never told them I went, and I don't think they would care. I think my mom is sort of I won't talk political with her. I can't. It's not even worth it. And my dad, we leave he wouldn't care either way.
What about the people you work with and your friends?
It's interesting. So I'm new here, and I don't know people well enough to be like, are you into this? Are you not into this? I don't want to create any turmoil. My boss's boss, she was very excited. She wanted to talk about it. She wanted to know everything. I can tell she and I are very politically sort of in line, and she was really excited to hear about it. My friends, especially the ones that I keep up with that I worked at Feminists with, those are the ones that I invited, and some of them have kids and didn't want to come, and then some just don't like to travel. But we all got together. They ended up coming down to the one in Atlanta, and yeah, we talked a little bit about it. And it was, again, it's, we're all in line with our thinking here. I don't know how to engage in more conversation with people. It was just so good.
Going back to your trip home, so compare your flight home with your flight out. How was the mood? Who was on the flight, and
a lot of the same people that we rode up with were on our flight again. So we saw them in the waiting area. We talked to them. At that point, everybody was tired, and there's a lot of sleeping going on, and on the way up, I don't know if you experienced this, so I'm going back, the flight attendants really, they couldn't get their dialogue out, their safety dialogue. The pilot, anytime he would say, like, we're going to DC, everybody would burst into cheering, and I felt bad. He's like, I really need to get to this safety presentation. Can you just be quiet for a minute? But they were super sort of, it seemed like supportive and excited. Although, what if you weren't and you were a flight attendant? That would be hard.
I wonder if they made sure that their flight attendants on the days around this were pretty
okay
supportive.
With this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to know what it would feel like from the other perspective, which is why I like having Facebook friends that are very conservative and sort of hateful, and wondering why women would waste their time marching with vaginas on their heads. And I was like, why? But what does this hurt? I don't engage with them, and I wish I could, because I want to know, what does this hurt you? What's wrong with it? And you have 4 kids, like, one of them is a girl, and one of them is probably gay. I mean, let's just, why are you going to hate anybody, and why would you be upset that anybody's fighting for rights and your rights, like, too, we're fighting for yours as well. So I always want to engage with somebody like that, but I don't have any friends that I can. I need to broaden my horizons.
When you were on the plane on the way home, were there any Trump supporters there, do you think?
Oh, you know what? We did see some in the airport with their little hats on because inauguration was the day before. And there were some on Metro coming back too, like big groups of them that were out like sightseeing. And they didn't say anything to us, being maybe presumably the people that had come from the march, and nobody said anything to them. And I thought that was really interesting, and probably just sort of how life is anyways. You wouldn't know any other time who supports what, except for, you know, your little like, that's, you know, why are you here, but whatever. I'm sure they're nice people.
So talk about the day, like you got home late at night, I assume?
Yeah, I think we got home about 9 o'clock, probably.
So you picked up at the airport or get home?
No, I normally am very cheap, so I would take Marta, but my friend, she's like, I'll drive, don't worry. We did like park and ride. It was just, you know, she had to get back to home life, and I just had to get back to my sort of home to go to sleep, I guess. And we see each other every Sunday morning for coffee, so we came back together on Sunday morning and talked about it, and her little girls were there. They come to coffee every Sunday too, and we sort of talked to them about it, and she calls it, you know, like fighting the bad people, and that's what we were doing, and so they don't understand. They're like, they don't know. But it was fun to sort of talk with them about it.
Yeah. Were you, like, I mean, your day, so you spent the morning with her and her girls, and did you talk about it with anybody else?
Sure. I think I went and saw my other sort of group of friends, the ones that came to the Atlanta rally, and they sort of had, I mean, I was really more I was like, I can tell you what happened. We went, it was very crowded. If you've never been on Metro before, if you've never been around this crowd before, I don't know how you describe it to somebody, but it was very moving. Tell me about Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone had something to talk about.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
seriously. So, how have you been feeling since the march?
Frustrated. I want to know what to do, but I don't know if I have the motivation to do a lot. I've never called a political person before this whole thing, and I do now. So if somebody's like, we need to talk about these things, I pick up the phone, and I almost burst into tears the first time I did it. Yeah, I mean, I was like, I can't believe, like, I've never done this before. This is really important. But luckily nobody answered the phone. So then the second time I had it together, and somebody actually answered the phone, and I knew what to say. And this was about the Betsy DeVos. And I told my husband, I was like, you're coming to the next thing because it's really important that you see what's going on. And I was like, we need to have a town hall with Johnny Isaacson because I want to see, I did some political work back in my younger days, and I know what it's like to receive letters or calls from constituents and literally place tallies next to like pro, you know, against or for something, and sort of count them up and be like, well, here's what your constituents say, so, you know, vote accordingly. I want to see the tallies from Johnny Isaacson's things about particularly Betsy DeVos, and then other things that have come up too, because who's he voting for? So I get riled up, and I tell my husband, we have this town hall, you're coming, and you can see what this is like. But of course there's no town hall.
So have you joined an Indivisible group?
I am in one, but only like through Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're calling. Have you written to anyone?
I don't like handwrite anything, and I don't feel bad about it because they say that phone calls are really good. So, and I guess emails are kind of worthless. So I was like, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, but calling is pretty easy too. So I can do that.
Once you get over your
Yeah.
your
But once I did it the first time, if somebody put a script up online, and they're like, fill in the blanks and just read this. And it was somebody who had answered phones and they're like, this is all we need to know. And I was like, perfect. And I like picked up the phone and I dialed the number and somebody picked up and I was like, oh. And I just read the script, I'd written it out, and then I was like, okay, that was really easy. That was so easy. And then I told my friends, I was like, guys, this is so easy. You could do it too. Here's the number. So that changed, but I want that to make a difference.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it does.
Are you planning to go on any of the marches coming up? Because there's a few in April that are taking place.
So on the 22nd, it's the March for Science. I'll definitely do that. I did tell my husband he's coming because he's an epidemiologist. I was like, this is really important for you. And also I worry about funding for everybody. Like, we're all involved in this. I was like, we live a really good life right now. This doesn't have to always be like this. Like, if your job loses funding, if my job loses funding, not even my job, the people who make money so that I have a job, this is really important. So I'll hope to get him involved in that. But that's the only one that I know about.
I think on the 15th there's a tax one, but I don't know if there's one taking place in Atlanta.
Okay.
I know the science one. There's like 3 weekends in a row.
Okay.
There's a march in DC, and my hope is that I know there is a science one in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the others.
I know there was like a gay rights or gay pride or something one or LGBTQ in DC, and we have some friends sort of involved in that, and I was like, well, if anybody thinks that we should go or wants us to go, like, we'll just go for the day again. It's really easy to do, but that's not something that we've put together yet to do.
I think there'll be a lot of big pride, I think that one's in June, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some big marches around Pride.
Yeah.
This year. I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah. So do you feel like the movement has maintained its momentum?
I hope so. I don't know, and probably it's not as. I don't think you could put together another event like that for the next 10 years. I think people have done it. It was a big sacrifice for a lot of people to get up there or to even come out to their own towns. Sacrifice both financially and time-wise, and maybe even like for their families that don't know that this is happening. I'd like to see it continue, but I don't know what the end game is. I don't know for what. So I would assume by now that Donald Trump would have been out of office, but he's still there somehow. And so I'd like to continue the momentum until something changes, but I don't know how long that's going to take.
So what do you hope will happen? I kind of get a sense that...
Yeah. I mean, really would be politically exciting to me is an impeachment or I don't want to do this anymore, which I would do if somehow I got elected president because I am equally as qualified as him, and I'd be like, this is too much. Never do that. But it's going to take a sort of while to unwind this. I think one thing, this is I explained to my husband too, like Hillary Clinton has been political for a long time. She's educated well. She has sort of, her life has been leading up to this. It's sort of like, you're the office manager for a company, and then you become the manager, and then you become the general manager, and then you become the CEO. And she's been working up. So this was her position. She's ready for it. And then to get sort of undercut by an unqualified, and we all know the sort of the not so good things about him, white man is sort of like the story of our lives for any woman that's been doing this. I've never had a woman boss. My direct supervisor is usually a woman, but hers is almost always a man who is not really that qualified, who just sort of comes in from somewhere and he's like, who, how? Like, okay, you're the boss now. I was like, this is exactly what happens every day in a woman's life, and it's not okay. So I'd like to see that go away. I'd really like to see a qualified woman become president. I don't care who. I guess they said Oprah was running, like, I want a qualified woman, not a TV star.
A personality.
TV personality, correct. I'd like to see things change. I think women are really good at being in charge. And I would like to see how the U.S. would change politically and sort of your everyday life if we finally had a woman in charge and sort of making decisions.
On the flip side of that, what are your fears?
I fear losing my financial stability because of cuts to everything. I fear for people who can't get into this country. Why? This is not just for us. Like, come on, this is not okay. I worry about the people that voted for Donald Trump who don't have a lot of money and who think that somehow they're going to get their $70,000 a year factory job back. It's not going to happen. And they're going to be very sad, and we need to take care of those people too. I worry about a lot. I mean, I worry about number one, but I also worry about sort of everybody around it.
Yeah.
And people's finances. I worry. You need money. And healthcare. Healthcare is killing me. Like,
how did you feel talking about healthcare? How did you feel on Friday this past Friday, when that whole repeal and replace failed?
It was so good. It was so good. I was like, oh my god, this feels so good. I called my husband. I was like, let's go out for celebratory dinner tonight. Like, this is great. And my friend that I keep up with, she's usually the one that sends me all the important news. The one I went up to DC with. She was driving home, so I made sure to message her so that when she got home, she could see it immediately. Like, it didn't go through. And everybody was all conspiracy theory. Like, this is just a smoke screen. This is actually going to pass. So I really thought, it was just going to be another Donald Trump again. It's actually went through. They had the votes the whole time. They were just hiding it. So it's great. And I know it's not perfect, and I don't think anybody would complain had they put together a plan that made it better. Who would be upset about that? So it just made it worse.
Yeah. To lose insurance for 24 million people over 10 years.
I don't think people realize how important insurance is. Healthcare in general. Oh. And as somebody who luckily is healthy, knock on wood, but I still don't want to go to the doctor because I don't like paying any money. And I can afford it. The people that can't afford it, like my mom, but she still voted for him. So, but yeah, so hopefully we can still have victories like that, and we'll just keep progressing slowly and chipping away at it. I guess next is the wall, or taxes.
Tax, yeah.
So. And
there's an election in 2 years.
Yeah. And I've been following the District 6. I don't have any sort of ties to District 6, just 5 and 4, but yeah, I would really like to see things flip around, and it's really exciting.
And John Ossoff seems like a really stable, thoughtful, normal human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah. I would say I've seen more Ossoff signs in my yard. Like I said, I live in District 4. Then I was like, this is really weird, but that's great. So.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, what about this Russia thing? How do you feel about?
Oh, it's so weird, isn't it? We'll see what happens. I have no idea. Again, I just wish political demise for all these people, and for things to just start crumbling. Unfortunately, I have this job where I actually have to work all day, which is new. Like, I don't have time to sit and look at the internet too much. And I have a part-time job, so when I go home, I do that too. So, excuse me, very little time for the news. So, I wish I knew more that was going on. But my favorite thing to see is people mentioning it and then saying, with the memes, like with Hillary Clinton, but her emails. And there's just so many more underlying issues going on. So I'll try to see how that unravels with the Russia stuff.
And I like the word you used, unravels, because it really does feel like it's a big mess. Mm-hmm. Like it's all like interconnected and just goopy. I mean,
yeah, maybe like a string comes out. And this is another thing that this has really brought attention to for me is what I'm consuming real news. So I can't just quickly like look at something and assume that this is true for anything. So it really takes not having a lot of time to a whole new level, because I need to really be thorough before I start like taking something as true.
Yeah. This is strange experience not to trust.
Yeah.
What you're being told.
Yeah. So we get the Washington Post for free with our .edu, but my husband, he also gets it for free with his .edu, but he's like, I'm subscribing, like we need to really support news sources. So he did that in the Times and New Yorker, that's not news, and ACLU. Like, we're not big donators, but I was like, now's the time. Yeah. So I guess that's one thing that's changed.
Yeah. For moving forward, what do you suggest people do? You know, what strategies do you suggest people use for just coping with like all this like busyness that's going on, like when you're not really knowing what's happening? And
yeah, I think a lot of people will sort of withdraw. Or I can see with my friends when they start to get really into it, I was like, you need to stop now, like pull out for a little bit and just go look at cat videos. So, I mean, really, you've got to step back. And I was like, think about what's important to you. So everything's important to me, but the really things that are important to me are like, I sort of thought about, it's like one thing I've always, like rights, like pro-choice. That's really important to me, so I'm going to focus on one thing, because that's all I have, not time. I can make time for anything, but that's what I want my capacity to be directed towards. So I've sort of just been involved with whatever, like feminist is like, this is what we need help doing, make these calls, do that, and I was like, I can make calls, I can do it. Find something simple. And there are simple things you can do. And talk to your friends and really, as a lot of people say, listen, sort of try to be open-minded. What else can you learn about this? What maybe can you think about differently? And for me, it's really opened up my eyes to be like, just how I think about race and inequality and that kind of thing, and what can I do?
Because there's so many different inequalities.
Mm-hmm.
As women, we're so used to our inequality, but there's so many other imagine if you're female, you're already on you have inequality, but you're an immigrant or you're a refugee or you add on all of these you add on all of these different layers, and our inequality, while it's wrong, it suddenly seems not, we still have a lot of privilege.
Oh yeah, it's just, I was telling my husband the other day, like, we could walk down our neighborhood streets with an axe and a television under our arm, and nobody would call the police. Nobody, I promise you. And if the police did come, we'd just be like, oh, we just found this stuff, no problem. Nothing would happen. If you did this with like a young black man, at best, he'd go to jail. At best. And I was like, it's not, I don't even know how to comprehend how you would, it'd just be so hard.
Yeah.
You have to tell your kid to not wear his hood up when it's cold because he's a young black boy. I don't understand. I don't even know what to do with it. I don't know how to help either.
Yeah.
So, just maybe thinking.
At least we are talking about it, and we are.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to my husband, he's like, I don't want to lose, like, my high-paying job and my, you know, my abilities to get raises. I was like, giving other people rights doesn't mean that you're going to lose. Nobody's going to take your
It's not a pie.
job. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. It's like,
yeah. You can have it too and use it. I love to see, like, the older white men who are like, I can now use my privilege to help you. And so, however that's being done, I really like to see that too. It's cool.
My last question is, for anyone who's thinking about going to a march in the future, any march, what is your piece of advice?
I'd say if you can go, just go and really absorb it. See what you can learn. And I don't think there's anything one individual can give, but there's a lot that you can get. So go if you can do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I thank you for doing this, and I hope that this is helpful to people in the future, and I hope people get to experience something. I honestly don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again in my lifetime, and maybe the women that were there sort of marching in the 60s thought the same thing. I'd like to sort of hear from them too, but it was really good. It's nice to be involved.
Good. Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.